their black wings shiny in the sun. They were gathered in the dense treetops over Longspell Point, which juts into the Minas Basin where the shoreline turns to the north. No wonder they call them a murder of crows, I thought. That racket would do anybody in. A sudden sharp breeze blew in from the northeast, strong enough to push along an enormous floating tree trunk with a craggy mass of black gnarled roots. Many of the branches were broken and dragging through the water, but some still reached up, leafing in vain. Several of the crows launched together, flew out over the water, and circled the broken tree as it rounded the point. It was moving rapidly from my far left into the middle of the basin in front of me. The details were too far away to discern, but there appeared to be some brightly colored blue and red cloth snarled into the roots, a towel, perhaps. I took off my sunglasses, leaned forward, and squinted, trying to see. Then I stood, alarmed. I started running along the shore towards the village pier, hoping to find someone who might corroborate what I was seeing. Coming towards me was a woman walking with the two dogs I had seen playing earlier, a little yappy dog and a very large dog. "Hi," I said, stopping in front of her and catching my breath. I'm Rosalind. I'm renting—" "Lovely morning." She extended her hand. "Grace." I shook it. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "What is it?" "Do you see that fallen tree way out there being blown towards the opposite shore?" "Oh, yes, that's not an uncommon sight," she responded. "It's the erosion, especially in the spring. The trees crash down off the bluff onto the beach, and then they're tossed about by the wind and the tides, pulled into the open water." "But is it just me? Or can you make out something very strange there, wound into the roots? See the colored cloth, the sheet or whatever?" "How do you mean strange?" she asked. "Like a person?" We were facing south, and the sun was still climbing just to the east of where we were looking. She put her hand up to shade her eyes and moved towards the water's edge. The crows were still making a ruckus, circling the trunk, landing, flying. "I do see something tangled there, but a person? No. I'd say that's a little far-fetched. I'd say it's floating plastic and garbage that's gotten caught in the roots. There's more and more debris out there these days, unfortunately. But the crows, well, crows are scavengers. They love garbage, don't they? Nice to meet you, Rosalind. Enjoy your stay. On we go. And carrion. They love carrion," I muttered, as she continued on towards the point, her two dogs frolicking ahead of her. Was she right? Was I just imagining an actual person caught there? I looked out across the water once again. I tried not to see them, but I could still discern human arms tangled into the dark roots. Pursuing this far-fetched notion was the last thing I wanted to do. I was here to escape, if only for a couple of weeks, from the grim realities of crime. That was my plan. Nature's beauty, Beckett, and lots of sleep. I threw my things into my rucksack and clambered back up the apple ladders. I stood in the glassed-in porch, holding the shiny new blackberry I had purchased just before leaving Halifax. I wasn't sure where to start, but I decided to call the nearest fire department. The fellow who answered, Stan, asked if I was from the city, called me dear, and spoke at length about the tides. 6 hours and 13 minutes out, 6 hours and 13 minutes in, he said. As to what I thought I had seen, he shared Grace's skepticism. He suggested I alert the RCMP if I was really concerned. Within half an hour, 2 young officers rolled up to my rented cottage. I watched them as they stood on the cliff's edge with their high-powered binoculars, trying to determine whether this was a wild goose chase. A stronger wind was now blowing from the east, and had pushed the floating mass of branches around so its roots faced the opposite shore. This made it almost impossible to see the lower section of the trunk from where we stood. Constable Brad Cudmore lowered his binoculars and looked around. "Pretty nice out here, eh?" I nodded. He glanced over at his partner and then strolled off toward the cruiser. Clearly he was